Before we continue, we'd like to encourage everyone to please write down their questions on the sheet of paper provided earlier. It will be collected by our ushers later to be addressed by our panelists during the open forum. On the WESM's first year. Let us all welcome back Mr. Lasse A. Holopanen.
Good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon. PEMC Board of Directors, committee members, staff, and stakeholders. Welcome to the first annual Operations Review and Participants Meeting. It's a very interesting one. It is perhaps the only meeting that we will have where PEMC still controls both the governance and the operations functions. By next year, or by the end of this year, it will already be purely a self-governing body once the decision has been made on market operations. Oh, there's a sound. Sorry, there's a... Could be the... sorry, there's some feedback. Can we put on the... Oh, okay. Can we just switch on? Anyway, today I want to talk a little bit about electricity, very, very shortly about the things that we're facing, things that we have to do over the next few months, how we can prepare for the November 15 meeting, as well as what the corporate challenges are ahead of the industry, of PEMC, as well as for the industry. Energy, very interesting. Apparently, something like 80% of our assets here in the Philippines are human resource assets. The human beings themselves, whether it's technical skill, physical skill, or mind skill. And there are only very few ways that you can invest directly in this, how you can multiply this. One, of course, is through medicine, medical care, prolonging life, improving the quality of life. The other, of course, is through education. We build our minds, we build our capabilities through that. But more fundamental than all of that is really energy. The moment we harness it, this is where we started becoming much more than the animals. Light allows us to stay up much past sunset. It allows us to have this water quality. And from there, you basically light up the entire night. Industry, healthcare, factories, production. The whole world is powered by electricity. This is really what is facing us. How do we make sure that we keep those lights on? And if you see the Philippines, we're actually, sorry, it's not very clear there, but we're actually not bad. We have almost 90% electrification, and there is access to that. It frees us from the drudgery. And yet, how much more can happen if we can have access to safe, reliable, efficient, and sustainable electricity? How do we do that, really? There's a lot of talk about deregulation, privatization, competition. It is not as difficult as sometimes it seems, although it is a long road. There are times, like in the case of our post, where the private sector just jumps in, they see that there is a gap. Next thing you know, you have to go, who uses fill posts? Again, most people, if they will prefer a lot of private sector providers. The other thing, fuels. We have one of the lowest fuel costs in the world, partially because of tax, but also because of a semi-competitive, at least, regime. Airlines, 99 pesos, fly anywhere. This will change a lot of prospects for the country. Shanghai, 99 pesos. How can you get that? All for one for all. PAL, alam ni Director Pad. These are things that we all enjoy and benefit from. And of course, the most famous example, super sulit, our cell phones. Remember the times when it used to call, I used to be in America, and my mother would call me $1 per minute in 1989, 1990, $1 per minute. Now it's peso 750. Again, major change, and sometimes you get it even for free. And now we're getting TV on cell phones. By the way, I've said this before, the future, I think, or at least partially, the financial future of the electricity industry may actually be with the telcos, in terms of billing settlements and things like that. You see them becoming more financial institutions now. So something very interesting as to the convergence of privatized industries. And then we have electricity. Always the fear that we won't have enough, we won't have sufficient electricity, that we will run out. In 1992, or sorry, early 90s, it was the case. Backlash, IPPs, sufficient and excess capacities, and yet now we're looking at an energy-starved future. What are the choices that are going to be made longer term? How can we address these? Because if we don't, next decade, we will fall behind. And it's hard enough as it is to catch up. Industry outlook. I guess the answer to all of this is really just about competition. It's about letting the private sector now take over with its efficiencies and investments into the Philippine power sector. There has been a lot of momentum over the last year, and that's congratulations to Kasam. They've done an excellent job in putting up these plants for sale, and the timing has been right. There have been changes. There's new contracts now, so those contracts can be put onto place and give the baseload security of a buyer. There is also an operational spot market, so that you can make money on the margins. Of course, there's successful sale of the Ingrant assets at very good valuations, and that was really, I think, it opened a floodgate. We have a couple of hydro investments that have come up fairly large, and of course, the generous valuation of Massimo. The valuation itself shows a couple of things. That there is a belief that capacity should only become an issue, really, for at least from the government perspective. Once the privatization thresholds have been met, and once the IPP administrations have been put in. The universal charge is for stranded assets. That means assets that are not being used but paid for. So we can then see how much the total strand is. Only then, I think, should any panic button be pushed. However, having said that, 2010, 2011, for Luzon, private sector investors are already looking at expanding capacity. They are planning for it. The most important thing we should do right now is to make sure that they do put it into place, or that the structure and competitive structures are right for that. Now, priority areas. I'd like this to be a checklist, so next year you can come back and see if the committees have been doing their jobs. It's a very important responsibility, but at the same time, the market, also it's a service to the market. First, improvement of surveillance tools. This is very important. Our ability to gather information and to analyze information will always be paramount. Next, the revision of the financial penalties. We are going to the time when the private sector will become dominant within the electricity industry. And private sector, I don't want to be fined. No? I mean, bottom line, I don't want to lose money. I'm in the business to make money and not to lose money. So thank you for fixing that. There's also the need for an establishment of the system and procedures for the detection at close to real time of abnormal market outcomes. Now, these are all from your Market Surveillance Committee inputs. Again, we come down to exercise of market power once and for all. I mean, this is an issue now and forever. Now, there will always be somebody who has market power. It's a question whether it's exercised or not. And of course, continuing review. It is a living market. It is a living document. We must enhance and monitor the effectiveness of the rules and retire the irrelevant rules or modify them. And of course, development and monitoring reporting system procedures among system operator, market assessment group, and the MSC. Why? Because automatic and uninterferable assessment, I think, is the way to go. For the dispute resolution, one of the most prepared groups, I think, from my own assessment. Unfortunately, nobody has really used their services yet. Very, very competent group, very experienced at dispute resolution, and they're also open to, in case there are things outside of the market, I'm doing a plug here, they're also willing to help the industry participants. Right now, there's continuing information dissemination, internal marketing to the stakeholders of the benefits of alternative dispute resolution. Easier, simpler, faster, cheaper. Review and update of the rules, of course, to enhance the efficiency of that process. And they will continue to do so, and they've been doing a lot of work on it.